Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Here's a headline from CoinDesk. First XRP ETF in the United States to go live on Tuesday, that's today, with launch of Teucrium's leveraged fund. So you might be wondering what gives. Expectations for that, we'd see the first ever XRP ETF launch probably in late 2025. So what in the ever-loving hell is this? Okay, so I'll say this at the outset. I'm happy for this because the reason I'm happy for this is because it's a way to get exposure to a market and invest around a particular ecosystem that is commonplace in traditional finance. And so the extension of such investment vehicles into crypto, specifically as it pertains to XRP, okay, I'm for it. But this isn't exactly what we were hoping or thinking would be the first XRP ETF, and you will see why in just a second here. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. And so the Crypto Basic also covered this story, and I'm going to jump in with their coverage, which reads as follows. And I tell you what, you asked me, a little over 24 hours ago if I thought that there would be the world's first XRP ETF the next day, and I'd say no, absolutely not. Yet here we are. This is real life. Anyway, popular ETF issuer Teucrium is set to launch the first ever XRP exchange-traded fund in the United States. The Crypto Basic reported the development on its X handle, noting that the fund will debut today. Notably, the Teucrium 2x long daily XRP ETF will list and trade on NYSE Arca under the ticker XXRP. This comes after NYSE Arca certified the listing and registration of the ETF yesterday, paving the way for its imminent launch on the trading platform. According to the fund's prospectus, the ETF comes with a management fee of 1.89%. Now, Teucrium designed the ETF to deliver twice the daily performance of XRP. This indicates that if XRP delivers a daily gain of 3% on a given day, the ETF would return 6%. In contrast, if XRP closes the day with a 2% loss, the ETF's value would plunge by 4%. So obviously you can see, folks, greater risk, greater reward than just investing directly in XRP. Anyway, the mechanism of doubling XRP's daily performance categorizes XXRP as a leveraged product that inherently offers higher rewards and risks. And so, folks, there's the trade-off right there. It's a leveraged product, and there's another negative to it, which I'll get to in just a second. I am not interested in leveraged anything. I understand that there's a desire and some people are just going to be interested in this stuff, but it's also true that some people like to gamble. I don't like to gamble. You know, if everybody felt the same way as me, casinos wouldn't exist because I don't like them. Now, I'm not against other people having fun and going there and whatever. We're all adults and different people like different things. I'm just saying, me personally, I'm just not into that. And I'm also not into leveraged investments of any kind. I want no exposure to leveraged anything. What I want is to hold assets and just let them appreciate over time. That's it. I know it's simple. I know it's not as sexy as these extra high returns, if you get them anyway. But I'm a simple little moon Lambo doing simple little moon Lambo things, and this is just not in my wheel. It's just a personal preference. I'm just saying here. Anyway, piece continues. The ETF issuer will reference multiple benchmarks to determine the XRP pricing for its swap agreements. They include the pricing from spot XRP ETFs, the CME CF XRP Dollar Real-Time Index, and the CME CF XRP Dollar Reference Rate. It bears mentioning that XRP has not launched a spot ETF in the US yet. Hence, the XXRP ETF will initially base its swaps on the prices of XRP ETPs launched in Europe, including the Wisdom Tree Physical XRP ETP and the 21 shares XRP ETP. Now, here's the thing that made me get not so excited about this. And mind you, again, I think this should be here. People want to do this. They should be able to do it. I'm also happy casinos exist, even though I personally don't like them. But the thing that was most disappointing about this is the fact that This is not backed by XRP itself. So, and here you can see Crypto Eddie reported on this. I'm not going to read the whole post. It's on the screen right here, but she noted this last night. She wrote, the fund does not invest directly in XRP. And so one of the things that is absolutely fantastic, maybe the biggest deal, this is why it's great to have a spot XRP ETF, even if you're like me and you want to hold XRP yourself rather than getting exposure through an ETF. The reason it matters for us as XRP holders is because when individuals out there are purchasing an ETF, that's an XRP spot ETF, it's backed by XRP, which means the more people buying the ETF, the more the company that runs that ETF has to buy XRP, the more XRP purchased as a result. That is not the case here. So once I saw that, I was like, oh, well, it's immediately less interesting. I mean, it's still good. Again, build everything around the ecosystem. This is the type of stuff that you have in traditional finance around all sorts of assets. Do it here too. Fine. That's perfectly fine. But the big one, the XRP spot ETF, there still is not one of those in the United States, but this is an XRP ETF. It's a different type of XRP ETF than the spot ETF, but it is. It's so the world's first one. It's of this caliber. And Eric Balchunas reported on this. He's the senior ETF analyst for Bloomberg, and he got a lot of fame in the world of crypto in the months leading up, especially months leading up to the first ever Bitcoin spot ETF. He was reporting on this, and people would just check what he was saying because it's his job to do this stuff literally on a daily basis. I covered a bunch of the stuff from him, in the process leading up to this. Here's what he had to say about this, and he posted this yesterday evening. He wrote, a 2x XRP ETF is launching tomorrow in the United States, the first ever XRP ETF on the market. Very odd, maybe a first, that a new asset's first ETF is leveraged. Spot XRP still not approved, although our odds are pretty high. And then he shared a link to somebody who was sharing the story. And so he certainly agrees also that the odds of an XRP spot ETF getting approved are extremely high. And to me, that's a no-brainer. The war on crypto is over, and this stuff is going to get approved. There's no reason for it not to. It is indeed going to happen. It's going to be a longer process. And all sorts of individuals in the know are predicting that it's probably going to be in the later part of 2025. I mean, it could happen sooner. We'll see. But there's a really good chance that by the time it is launched, the XRP bull run's probably going to be over. But I still insist, like, in terms of the supply and demand dynamics, even if you launch this thing and it's wildly successful, it's only going to add so much during the course of the bull run, even if it were launched during that. I think XRP goes on a wild face melting rally regardless. I just don't think it matters. Now, over a span, like a longer time period, a longer time horizon, over a span of years and decades, well, yeah, having an investment vehicle like this that's actually backed by XRP, an actual spot XRP ETF, well, yeah, of course, that's materially going to impact the supply and demand dynamics. Way more XRP would be purchased than if it didn't exist. So, yes, that materially matters. It's just I've never bought into this notion that you're going to see some extra crazy moon activity for the price of XRP just because of this in the first cycle. I just don't buy into it. I don't think that's true. It'll have, even if it nominally increases the price of XRP on a global scale compared to what otherwise would have been. Okay, fine. What's that mean? Like a few pennies, a dime? What are we talking about here? But it may not even launch until after that. So, news of it getting launched, that could be a spark that ignites the fire, especially in an exuberant period. It just depends on when that news actually breaks, and we're just not ready to see that. So we'll find out. Either way, so again, it's good news. Happy to report on it. But the womp womp is that XRP is not backing the damn thing, so I'm certainly not on a personal level as excited about it as I would otherwise be. But I wanted to clarify it. I know a lot of people have been talking about this and wondering. And understandably, there was assumption from a lot of people out there that it would have been backed because the spot XRP ETF obviously is. But that is not the case with this one, unfortunately. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because if anything I say are right, that would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Lambo.